make you come up here.
We haven't talked about this yet,
Yeah.
right?
I'm waiting for them.
We haven't talked about this, right?
Are they ready up there?
Yeah, we just did talk
That was the
about
color
that.
one?
Yeah.
Waiting on
Oh,
you.
okay.
Yeah.
Someone just showed me something
There was
else.
new stuff in here.
Yeah,
that was-
Okay.
Are we ready?
Colfax just says this
Hmm?
column for this one.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay, we're back in session. First of all, I'd like to thank all the department heads for attendance here this afternoon. Tom, do you want to start this off here? Basically, this is the second half of our budget presentation. This is the fiscal year 2009-2010, the budget process, I guess, is where we're going to start, or, okay. Alice?
Go back.
I want you to put that last page on the screen up there if you can. And that's where we're starting. No, not that one, the next one. There,
That one?
exactly, action to be taken today. What we're really trying to concentrate on is to close the right around a little over $900,000 gap in the 08-09 budget. So do you want to start off with or should we start off with board comments, or what do you want to?
I think it might be time for board comments, questions, et cetera, and tell me where you want to go with this. I mean, I think that in terms of we've already talked about the hiring freeze and it applying to all departments, so I think that we've got that in mind. The side letters of agreement, I believe, are going to be formally ratified and reported out, sometime this afternoon. So really the question is how you want to address the issue of layoffs. What we have on the agenda is for lack of a better term, I'll say a generic resolution that would allow the board to authorize layoffs, and there are kind of different levels of authorization. One level of authorization is simply talking about a certain number of positions or a certain department, or keying it in that direction. And I think that's been part of the discussion with HHSA in particular, and they are looking for the next step to be able to continue the interaction with Merit System around the seniority lists. So there's kind of a more general direction that you can give regarding your intent to look at layoffs as a strategy. And then with that direction, you would then say to staff, okay, come back on this date with a list of classifications or whatever, because ultimately to make a layoff effective, you as a board will have to adopt a resolution that specifically lists classifications of positions and the budget units in which they would be laid off or eliminated. So you have a generic resolution, you have some numbers that have been talked about, particularly with HHSA, and then I think part of it is the board giving direction as far as with this 900,000, what portion of it do you wish to direct towards layoffs, and how would you want those layoffs approached? Whether, I mean, I guess to make it a very simple option here, do you spread it across the board to every department that they take a particular percentage, or do you target particular departments or particular programs or whatever? And then what kind of information do you as a board need in order to make that decision? So it's kind of like you're looking at it in a very broad sense, $900,000 gap. And then you kind of keep working your way down. So do you want to look at that entire 900,000 with layoffs, or do you want to kind of parse that out in some different directions? Then if you want to look at layoffs, how do you want to address that with departments overall, or how you spread that particular hit? And in order to make that decision, what kind of information do you need to do that? So I think that you can go a certain distance with today's discussion, but it depends on what information you feel is necessary in order to make certain determinations, and this may be a more than one meeting process. So I just want to lay out what that could look like.
First of all, I'm going to start by saying that I'm really upset that we have the two bargaining units, McClama and the Public Attorneys Association, that hasn't come to some sort of agreement. Every other bargaining agreement in the county has, and that really hurts. You know, I was hoping that as a whole team in this county that everybody would work together through this economic times. You know, it would make it a whole lot easier if the two remaining bargaining groups would step up to the table and frankly do their fair share. But that hasn't been the case, so we're going to have to move forward without that. So Supervisor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I have sort of two ideas I'd like to present to my colleagues. I believe that for this supervisor, the following slide is definitely premature because it's making assumptions to get to that point. And I think we need to back up the process and have board dialogue and engage with anyone also that wants to be part of it. But having said that, I think
that's just a starting point.
Right. Right.
That's not, by putting that slide up there, it's not taking on an agenda.
Absolutely, that's why I'm saying
we can take this conversation in any direction.
I'm wanting to roll it back and have a different
Fine.
starting point. And so my proposal would be that from previous board presentations and from the actual delineation in the PowerPoint today, it's very clear that HHSA has been sort of taken independently from the county's budget deficit numbers. I mean, they've been stated differently. They've been stated separately. So it's an independent calculation. It's an independent focus, and I believe it's going to be an independent action. So, as a prelude to where we need to go, we had a very specific mid-year budget report from Jennifer Wyatt that gave the net county costs and the projections, the best estimates by department heads and the auditor and Ms. Wyatt in terms of where we're going to be going forward to close out this fiscal year. So those are the best numbers that we have to work with. So I think that in holding everyone accountable to the net county cost that was assigned, we're going to need to hear from the departments that are over that. And we're going to need to hear, I think, individually, but there aren't that many. More than not, most county departments are within their net county costs. So as a prelude to that, and as an example of a department that actually has seen that the department, and it is, of course, the largest department in the county, it's an agency, will not meet its net county costs. Carmel Angelo began steps many months ago about trying to address that issue. So I think is if we lead off with that, I believe she has some specific proposals that she needs to bring to us that would give us some background about how she's approached the issue. Hopefully we can hear from her, possibly even resolve that issue today. And then my suggestion, Mr. Chair, would be then to move on to, well, what do we do with the rest of the budget?